Hello everybody, and today seems to be a slow day. Nice slow day. A little bit cloudy outside, but yeah, I think lighting just be fine. And I decided to do my recent build. Some bit not of this guy, but a high grade Zaku 2 Type J from Zero H Team Plastic Kits model series. And if and the chance you didn't saw first review, it is the same kit. Yeah, this one. Made in early 90s, I think. 1998. Actually late 90s. So, what's the big deal with the Zaku 2? Zaku 2, here we have an original build kit. And next to him, Zaku 1, I built before. It's a late 2006, I believe, kit. Yeah, quite a big amount of time passed. So here we go, side to side, and you start wondering why do I doing this part swaps on them? Not because I'm planning to do my custom model kit, but just to show you how aged proportions during that big gap of time. So first of all, which falls in the eyes is proportions, of course. The head is okay on both kits. It looks more or less the same size. The body, the first thing you notice is the body. The body of Zaku 1 is quite a lot taller, and the chest of the Zaku 2 is shorter and not much so proportional to New Days model kits. So if you look closer, you see that proportions are really significant, and well, if you do not mind that, you can actually build one for yourself and keep it as a part of the collection, since Zaku G-Type is not a big difference from Zaku 2, just several parts you need to swap with parts which comes in the box additional with all parts. I'll show you later, but yeah. And second thing, which also is really kind of annoying in an old kit, the short of the legs. Length of the legs. Oh, those are shorter than Zaku's 1, and that's really also quite visible, like a difference between arms. You see here, in the right is a Zaku 1 arm, much longer, more. It actually would be a more reasonable for Zaku 2 kit if not short body. Since the body is shorter, it looks like the arm is too long for this kit. And for Zaku 1, yeah, is quite opposite problem. So we do really nicely removing our arms and come back this to original owners. No, wait for here for a moment, and Zaku 2. Oh, Zaku 1. Yeah, here your arm. Thank you for comparison purposes. Stand here and wait for your turn. And here we have Zaku 2 fully built, not glued any parts, not seam lines removed. No sanding, no painting, nothing, since I have further plans for him in the future, as using the scrap parts object, and can do just try it, build out the box review. So as I mentioned before, the head is okay, except for the hose. Those are really tamed out and looks really. Here we go. Focus, please. Looks really so plastic and rubbish. And you know, there is no point for removing them with better ones, so for that time it was okay. It has a shield which has a rotation around the shoulder, of course, if you need this kind of rotation. Then let's start with the problems. I think first thing is the old type kits like a Zaku 2 G-Type doesn't have a rotation in the body. Yes, the wall chest and the waist is a one massive piece of plastic and doesn't have any joints, any at all movements, except perhaps in the backpack. The thrusters goes a little bit up and down, but if you will move them too often, they fall off. And okay, let's go for the flaws first. And of course you see joints, very primitive old-time joints, rubber joints, then seam line over the hand. Seems to be I need a little bit of modification of my background, so it won't focus very much, so I think this will be okay, a little better. Yeah, so seam line on the arm, very visible, very ugly, requires a lot of job. The tiny arms, actually very ugly tiny arms, and they can be extended a bit, but if you extend them a bit, it will be super loose. So the weaponry, any weaponry which goes later in the arm, will be in a loose position too. Waist unit doesn't have any movement at all, since the parts in the top of the waist armor plate here, armor plate are in the way of movement itself, it blocks the movement. Then seam lines, okay, seam line on the shoulder. Of course, it's an old kit, so you shouldn't complain much, but still it's visible very much, so you need a lot of workout. Okay, kit should be coming with the block pieces for the elbow. It doesn't come, it has the stickers, which I show later. Then you don't have any movement in the back of the skirt. The Zaku 1, if you recall, can put weaponry on the back of the skirt, and this holds very well and nice, but Zaku doesn't have back then this function. Then of course upper legs has the seam lines, and of course front back has the same problem. Then knee joints seems to have a double joint function, but doesn't help this kit much, since he just can't bend his leg much of all these horse types, and I think it's a flaw in design in the first place, but since quality control wasn't that good back then. Of course, before mentioned length of the legs, it's not very tall, just short legs. And of course secondary flaw in design, and feet, which doesn't have much movement although. The main problem with this kit isn't the proportions. The first thing you will notice after building, it can't stand on its own. It can, but it won't be standing evenly. The legs doesn't have big spread out. The feet doesn't have good layout, so they can stand evenly with both feet on the flat ground. So if you manage to stand him, he will look like a standing straight idiot, and that's really not good. Like it should be. It's actually a high grade, as you can see. The high grade shows letters and should be a little bit more punch than an old type kits made in early 90, but still. So that much problems with this kit. Of course the seam lines on the legs are more lower parts too, and that much I think about Zaku 2 as a kit. It's a build straight out of the box kit. Of course the bending in the elbow, one part cap, actually not even a joint. And let's check out for accessories. This guy comes in for this early kit. Bandai decided to add additional plate. It's actually not a new plate, it's an old plate from older version of Zaku, and it has a beam half X, battle X, I don't know really. Plain shield for ordinary normal Zaku. Of course the thruster types for Alex, yeah, it's a separate parts actually, and made especially for this guy, since he has a G-type in his name. Here we go, we have again, I show you the box, and those parts shouldn't be just a normal Zaku parts, like this small thruster or vents, whatever it's called, on the legs. This purposes, Zero H Team is just a ground type Zaku, which actually can go by itself in the space. And of course arms of a regular Zaku too. The difference between these arms? Well, I barely can tell. It's just different. Yeah, I think it's just different. And some purpose it's just different. What you're looking at. Look at the peoples. Which try to look at you. Okay, so we're going next and we have a Zaku 2 machine gun. Just normal machine gun for Zaku with another ugly hand. Has some movement for the handle. Removable ammo pack. Yeah, it's ordinary weaponry for Zaku 2. Then it comes with a bazooka. Nothing special bazooka either. Then comes for an additional plate, as I mentioned before. You can do. This is not good. It doesn't want to focus match. Okay, let's do it like this. We have a plate for a head. We can make a ground type. Oh, I'm sorry, grunt. Zaku just go with me as a commander type. Few polycaps left on the tree. Not much parts actually left. Ugly stickers. As I mentioned before, this part for elbow doesn't come with an additional plastic part. So you have to glue ugly sticker over there, or you cannot. And few black stickers for I think for front skirt parts over here. But since this kit has a lot of details and those parts are separated, you can easily just paint it. And the markings. Yeah, various markings which are aged badly, and back then wasn't very separated from the wall sheet very nicely to glue them on the actual kit. So it will be ruined for print of the kit. Of course, we have a manual too. I think I showed manual before. It's ordinary manual for high grade, special this type, and yes, as you can see, it shows clearly the kit can't stand on a flat surface by itself. It has a flows, like a gasp between feet and ground. Whatever it. Yeah, I was right. Those parts should be black. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's original. And for the bad and good things on this kit. It's quite an old kit, but if you collect in a high grades and you want to keep your collection as full as possible, the G-type should be also added to your stack of gauntlet kits. I actually doesn't have a high grade Universal Century Zaku 2, but I don't think it has the same part as this one guy. Still, as I mentioned before, I won't keep him too long unnoticed and will be scrapped to the parts of the next project. And just to keep you all as much as informed, I want to show you a Zaku, same Zaku actually ground type I built before. Move aside a little bit, whole body. And this is actually the same kit, just a recolored, a little bit improved the statement of the legs. And of course, as you can see, you can tell, notice, it's actually almost stands flat on the surface. Yeah, I had to rebuild a little bit of ice unit and attachments for the legs, so it could stand a little bit better. Added him a new arms, so it wouldn't look like little tiny little hands, and repainted fully. It's one of the LMI works, so it doesn't went very well. Just a grade. No. Yes. And I think it's that much for the Zaku G-type from high grade early 90s. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.